If you could say to your father one thing, what could you say?
Look, I've talked about this quite a bit.
He is one of the founding members of Reactaholics.
Yeah, he is.
He has this wonderful cat. And if you don't believe me, I dare you to go on his Instagram and show me that I'm lying.
It's true.
And if you ever thought about going one-on-one with him in a Power Ranger trivia battle, well, just like how Nappa went down with Goku, you're not even going to stand a chance.
I'll kick your ass.
I'm talking about the one and only, from Stardust himself, Dr. Kneale the Puss, a.k.a. Kneale Micheal Burris. How are you doing, my man?
Well, I right now I'm doing flattered. Like, jeez. Like, I knew you were going to say something for the intro, but at the same time, I didn't think I was going to get compliments.
Look, I got to make you shine like a diamond, and that wasn't too hard for me to do.
Dude, I'm flustered. I'm yours.
Well,
do
right
with
now,
me what you want.
Well, as you all seen, this is Getting Real with Ron Smith. And my
Let's
guest,
be real.
And with my guest, Kneale Burris. This is a man that I've known for a while. I think going now 2 years.
Yeah, just about that. It's like, it's wild to believe that we met on an app and now we are like we're pretty close.
And that's also the crazy thing, because like, again, we've known each other for 2 years. I've met him on the app, the Stardust app, and you got to think about that. An app that is made for reacting on TV trailers, movie trailers, and reviews, and are just a natural reaction on these shows and film. And I'm from New York, and this brother right here is from, I believe, Indiana, right?
I am indeed.
And think about that. You got a city boy over here, and from all I've ever known from Indiana is the countryside.
Whoa, hold up.
Ooh.
Okay. Look, yes, it is true. I was technically raised in the country. However, I am also a city boy. And everybody here who is a country guy or girl, they're always like, why do you act like this? We're in Indiana.
So you're saying it's a stereotype then? Are you saying us other outsiders are stereotyping Indiana?
Well, I'm saying it's an accurate stereotype, but it just doesn't apply to me. I am the exception to the rule, if you will.
But I like that, though, because it's crazy to believe how people can be so far away from each other and yet get to know each other and just, hey, found something common ground of what we like.
Oh, yes.
Get to know each other and say, oh, wow, I want to be friends with this person. I
have known you longer than people I have dated. Like, not even kidding.
I'm flattered. Oh, man, I'm so flattered.
Oh, here we are all flustered together. Oof. But, yeah, I've known you forever. And, like, I remember when you were like, if I can tell this story, is it okay if I tell the story about you asking me if you could do this show?
Go nuts. Go ahead.
So we were, essentially, we had just finished an episode of Reactaholics, and I was resting my voice and hanging out with my cat. And Ron goes, hey, could I talk to you, like, privately? And in my head, I'm instantly like, Ron's quitting. Ron is going to quit. He's messaging me. He's going to be super polite about it, like Ron is about everything. But he's going to quit. We get in the call, and it begins to sound like it's going that way. But then you're like, I want to do this new show. And I was like, oh, okay. And I essentially told him that I completely trust you to do whatever you want with the channel. And we just had this very proper, like, short conversation afterwards about a neutral respect for each other and how you didn't want to not talk to me about these things. And like, I realized to people that might not seem like a big deal. Like, oh, he wanted to do a show on a channel that has your name in it. Obviously, he's going to ask permission. But a lot of my life, whenever people want things or like have issues, I end up getting ghosted and they don't talk to me. So Ron just being really up forward with me was so like, just it showed there's a lot of respect for each other.
Man, 100%. You know that always.
Yeah, I love you.
To the same, man. Thank you. And just to go off that, just to go off that, you created Reactaholics, and I think the audience wants to know, because a lot of these people too will be from Stardust. What gave you the idea to start this all out?
Well, I mean, created is such a strong word. I'll definitely take credit in saying it was my idea. I remember that I was just sort of chilling, and there were a couple reasons why I wanted to do it. The big one was I had lost access to my Stardust, so I couldn't put content out there. But an even like other one that was equally as is, I believed the minute format, while good for what it was, had its limitations. So I decided we should have a longer format. And, also the third reason, I just like to talk to my friends. So I was like, okay, let's have these little meetups where we can do this. And a lot of people don't remember this, but I made that first announcement video months before the first episode came out. Like,
I'm excited.
I said, hey, I'm like filling out a cast if anybody's interested. And the original plan was it was going to be me, it was going to be you, and it was going to be Mel. And, I'm glad that never changed. But then people in a certain area of the world lost their accounts for a little bit. And Callum was sort of a acquaintance at this point. So I was like, hey, would you like to be in? And at first I pitched him as a guest. But you know how Callum is. He was just so into it.
Once he gets started, you can't stop him.
I mean, he was into it, man. He was excited. And he's always the person in the chat who's like, hey, can we do an episode this week? Let's do an episode this week.
Got that fire.
Of course he's a mainstay on the team now. I also wanted Minute Movie Pop, who was actually in an episode that we lost. But that we still talk to her. Like, Stephanie is a casual friend now. So I'll just message her sometimes and be like, hey, this thing you put up of you being in this theme park is cool. And, just casual stuff. John was an accident. Like, I think Ron knows this story, but I don't know if anyone else knows. When I made my post, everybody who was in the chat, the group, not the chat. I'm so used to streaming at this point. Everyone who was in Reactaholics was all like, hey, we should advertise it. And Mel did that. And John Bailey comments, oh, you're going to do it without me? And then through that, we got John, who is probably the biggest name.
And if people don't know John, can you enlighten people on what John you're talking about?
John Bailey, the epic voice guy. He plays Soundwave in the new Bumblebee movie, but also he is the voice in Honest Trailers. So if you've ever heard an Honest Trailer or seen an Honest Trailer, you have heard John's voice.
And think about the reach of this one app. And and how everyone is from different parts of the world. Callum is literally not even in the US of A. Yeah. He is outside of it.
He's in Scotland.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it makes planning the show a bitch. Like, I remember, like, it was a very recent episode. I think it was our Disney Plus one, where I was talking about all the Marvel shows, and Callum just goes, okay, we're done. And then he leaves the call. And then I'm like, why did you leave the call? And he's like, it's like 4 a.m. for me. We went so long. There's like a 5-hour time gap between Indiana and Scotland. So I don't usually realize it, but we totally do run him into the ground.
sometimes that just happens, and then we just go back like, oh snap, yeah, like he's like literally holding himself on just to be with us.
I remember I was telling him, hey, just share your opinions on these and you can leave. And he was like, okay, they sound all right. And then he left. I mean, he did what I asked. I can't argue with that.
And see, like all this from this app, we all just a bond was just born from that. And I think what amazed me more about you, Kneale, is knowing you and knowing about what you go with when your day life. Because I don't know if people know that you also you deal with some things yourself.
Yeah, I got mental issues. I mean, that was mostly a joke, but I mean, I think I mentioned it in the show, specifically our episode where we talked about a charity. I myself am a high-functioning autistic person. I also have ADHD, dyslexia, meaning I have a lot of trouble reading. And basically, like, I have cerebral palsy and my hands shake. Like, it's a very low case, but my hands shake. And because of that, just doing things is hard. And I've always struggled with motivation and forcing myself to do things. But when it comes to the show and stuff, like, you don't need to force yourself to talk to your friends. Like, if you do, I am sorry. But whenever we're in these calls, like, it's not work. It's not annoying. It's just we sit down, we talk about the stuff we love, and we talk about it with the people we love. Like all of you are, like, I like to care about people. I don't like, I remember when people are like, oh, they're my coworker, and I don't ever want to refer to someone as a coworker. I want to refer to someone as a friend.
I love that, man. And
that's just sort of the Kneale. That's how I function.
But see, like that, because like a lot of people, when they hear about what you go with, on a daily basis, you know what I mean? Just what you told me. An outside person that doesn't know you will kind of all look at you in a certain way, you know what I mean?
They think I'm fucking weird.
And with that, like, and what you're doing, like, what motivates you, man? Like, what, with everything that you go with, how do you keep yourself, what I like to call the Knealetude, that positive vibe that just oozes off you every time? And yet, when someone hears what you have, they think like, oh, how are you even trying?
Well, I got to tell you, I wish I could say, well, I just tell myself every day that I'm in a really positive mood, but it's not that at all. It's directly the people I'm around. Like, it's sort of a situation of I have separation anxiety, which among other things means I really hate to be alone. And that means when I'm not alone, I am ecstatic. Like, every time I am with people I care about, I'm like, yes, I love this. And because of that, it's an annoying attitude to have, I won't lie. But because people will be like, dude, why are you so happy? And I'm like, because people are here. And, I like to think that if you're around people, you should at least try to have fun with them. And my whole thing is I like to make other people happy. So whenever I'm in calls and stuff, I'll just be trying to make somebody laugh. I'll make a joke. I'll throw it out there. And if it doesn't land, I'll make fun of myself and make everybody laugh.
Oh, man. And sometimes some people would do that, more as a defense for themselves. But also, too, I know a lot of people that, like you just said, you would make fun of yourself just to make people laugh. But at times, I always wonder, like, when those dark days do come at you, when you feel like that void, because, none of us are perfect. We all have our days, And when you have those moments for yourself, do you ever feel like, oh, I just can't get out my own way?
I mean, there are definitely situations where I feel like as I told, like, I don't think this is a secret. This isn't anything I'm not willing to share. I'm currently unemployed. I work a couple odd jobs, but in terms of
that's called adulting.
Yeah,
adulting life.
In terms of employment, I've been unemployed for a while. Because of that, I've always been like, this is the day you're gonna go out and do it, and I have so much trouble just making myself do things that are specifically to better myself. Like, obviously, I can shower and I can eat, but
you gotta eat.
Yeah, you gotta eat food. No one wants to be hungry. But it's sort of this anchor, I guess, that I feel like I'm holding myself back, but at the same time, it's a thing where it feels like I can't force myself to do it, and when I try to do it anyways, it doesn't really work. But my get around for it has usually been, well, don't do it for you then. Do it for someone else. And like, anytime somebody needs help or somebody needs money, I actively try to help. Like, for example, I know I've told you this story because I was like, this is how much I hurt myself. There was a day where I was Christmas shopping and I didn't have a lot of money. And instead of buying food for myself, I bought a Christmas present for someone.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And I had already bought for that person, too. It was just like, oh, but they'd want this one, too. I have a problem.
Your heart is too good, man.
My heart is bigger than my brain.
But see, with that, and where do you feel like this all comes from? Like, to make other people happy, where do you think the roots come from all of that?
Well, there are a couple roots, I guess. I was never the nicest kid growing up. Like, I was bullied at school, so my home life wasn't great after that. I grew up without having a father. Like, I have never met my dad. I'm pretty sure his name is Arthur Kneale Taylor III, because secret guys, I'm Arthur Kneale Taylor IV. Kneale Micheal Burris is a ruse. But yeah, so I think a lot of it comes from the fact that I wasn't a nice kid, and I was still like me. But when you're a teenager and stuff, you're trying to figure out who is me. And I had a lot of issues with that, because my entire life nobody liked whatever I was. So when it's like, okay, you got to decide who you're going to be, I had no idea. And because of that, there were definitely some argumentative stages. There were some mean things said, most of them by me, but a lot of them to me. And just a lot of growing pains. And when it came down to it, people in my family, specifically my grandmother, still cared about me deeply. And that was one of the things. Yeah. That was one of the things where it was like, oh, I have done a lot, and this person is still like on my side. I have to live up to that. But also, it's a situation of when I finally figured out who I was, and it was I like to make people laugh, I realized to an extension to that, I just like to make people feel good, and I like to talk to people, I like to help people. And I mean, I'm talking a lot about myself here, but I'm pretty sure that's what the show is.
That's the whole point. You're doing exactly what you need to do.
I mean, let's be real.
That's what I'm talking. That's my motto of life.
So I think like just, not exactly being treated the best and really not having people to turn to was really what made me be like, okay, well, I want to be the person that others can turn to then, because I didn't have that. Like, I think I did end up getting it eventually through my grandmother and through friends that are around for a lifetime now. But it took a while to get there. And a lot of people don't realize it. I'm still going through stuff. Like, I remember, like, I was having, like, an emotional breakdown just the other day. And it was, like, the first time it had ever happened to me. And I was just, like, I was just everywhere. Like, I felt so strange and alien to what I usually feel. And I won't go into causes. I won't say anything, like, but it was just a really weird feeling. And what I like about myself, and I realize that's something really, like, self-indulgent to say, but if I have one quality I really like about myself is when I was going through this breakdown, I was like, oh shit, this is what other people feel like. I gotta help more.
Oh, and man, that's a big heart.
Yeah. I mean, I care for everybody, honestly. Like, I've always said that my biggest issue is I care about other people more than myself, but I would also say that's one of my biggest strengths.
Not a lot of people are like you, Kneale. And for me personally, if I could say this, man, to that, knowing the person you are and just getting to know you so well, I can say that you've done so much, man. And I admire you for a lot of you with everything you've done so far in your life and what you will continue to be.
Dude, those are some big words. Thank you. Well, because, I mean, I know the show is, like, you're the interviewer, so I guess this is how we talk about you a bit. Like, I don't know if people realize this. I admire the hell out of Ron. Like, you are probably the nicest person I have ever met in my life.
Oh, please.
I remember we were doing that exercise where we were all pretending to be trolls, and you just handled it so well. And it was almost like, you don't believe in killing people with kindness until Ronald Smith steps up to the plate. Because my word, you should weaponize that.
Man, I just do the best I can. That's it. That's all I am.
Man. You do great.
And, you know, for us to turn the next chapter in this, because I also want people to know something else about you. Something I brought up before. You know, people, if you don't know about this young cat, okay, you know, not only does he have a cat, you know, a cat that he stole, sir.
I did steal the cat.
Like, I can't believe this.
Here's the thing. This is how cool Ron is. Right before the episode started, we started briefing each other a little bit. I didn't really know what was going to be said, but he was like, oh, I see your Instagram. You have a cat, right? And I was like, yeah, if you want, I could tell the story of how I got the cat. I technically stole it. And then he's just like, oh, save it for the video. Save it for the video.
And right now, we're about to talk about it. So go ahead. You need to explain to the world about what you've done.
I mean, this just speaks to your character that you heard me 100% admit to you. I stole a cat. And your reaction was, oh, well, this story probably needs to be told. Because you know I didn't do it to hurt somebody or anything.
That's what that's what he wants me to feel like until he tells me the whole thing. Then I'm like, oh, crud.
Look, okay, so here's the story of how I stole this cat. So, I was walking home from Walmart. I do that regularly because I got to go get groceries because, believe it or not, people, I am an adult. I know it's a shock, but I am.
Learn some things today, guys.
Yeah. And I'm just walking home, and I walk past this house, and Kyle's with me. This was actually the day we were going to go see It Chapter 2. So This all happened before we were going to go see a movie. And I just hear this meowing as I walk past this house. And I'm like, okay, well, there's a cat over there. I keep walking. And the meow just gets more and more aggressive. So I start looking around, and I'm like, what's going on? And I checked it out, and there was a cat stuck between the front door and a screen door of a house. For those of you who don't know, that means this cat had like an inch or two of space. And it was just trapped there, theoretically, the whole day until I got there. And I like see it there, and I just looked at Kyle, and I'm like, what do we do? There's a cat trap there. And Kyle's like, hey, look, that's private property. It's not okay. So I'm like, no, that cat's been trapped there. I'm going to go get it and let it out of the door, and we'll take it home and we'll feed it, and then I'll take it back the next day. So we take it home, and we started calling it Validus at first because Kyle had a D&D character who is named Validus Bonaparte. And his whole thing is he's a very eccentric dick.
Oh my god!
And that's what this cat was. Like he would just meow at us and give us commands. He would just be so rude. In the end, I came to the point where I was like, let's kill the cat. Like I said it as a joke. I mean, it was a joke. But then I sang a little song, sort of to a Jamaican groove, where I was like, he just keeps meowing and I don't like that. Open the microwave, let's kill the cat.
Wow.
And then I kept going and going with alternate ones. Like, there was one where we put him in the fridge. I mean, we never actually put the cat in there. I would just walk towards him, doing my little dancey jig. And then we'd not actually do it. And then the song would go like, he's cute and cuddly and I really like that, but he's a pain in the ass. How do we kill this cat? And we would just keep going with it.
All this with a stray.
Yeah, we had to leave. He was just so loving. Like, not even kidding. Like, I know I'm saying he's annoying because he is. Like, if you watch my streams, he attacks my arm while I'm streaming to where I had to play the games with one hand. But my word, he's the most loving cat I've ever encountered in my life. He will always just walk up and he will he literally gives kisses. Like he will put his face against your lip and he will try to kiss you. He doesn't understand it, but he tries to do it, which means something to me. So anyways, the next day comes, I've seen It Chapter 2, and that family is back at their house now. Of course, I've fallen in love with this cat, but I gotta do the right thing. So I take the cat back, I knock on the door, I'm like, hey, is this your cat? And they're like, yeah, it's our cat. So I give it back to them, and that's the end of the story. Wow. Until 3 days passed. I have given up this cat. He's no longer a part of my life. I have moved on. I walk by the same way I did the first time with some Walmart groceries. This time I'm by myself. Kyle's not there. And I hear it again. Meow, meow, meow. And I'm like, no way. I look to the screen door. And the door, it happened again.
Oh my God.
The same thing happened again. And then I came to the conclusion, okay, these people might not be taking care of this cat. So I don't necessarily want to end it on that, though. So I instead, and I think this is something I don't make perfectly clear in my streams when I tell this story, I left a note saying, hey, this cat was in a bad situation. I took him home. If you want him back, come to this address.
And so nice about it.
Nobody ever came. It's been a couple of weeks now. I mean, not even a couple of weeks. A couple is two. It's been like 5 weeks. And nothing ever came of it. And I even left my phone number, if that means anything. So they could have called me.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So, and I had seen other cats around there. So my personal view on the situation is, okay, you didn't want the cat. So I took him in and I was going to give him to a friend. But I was already kind of in love with him. And, you know, you keep spending time with him. And I don't know, like, I guess they cared about him a little because he was already potty trained, and
That's a big step.
yeah, and he's just so sweet. I don't understand why he is so sweet, and I just sort of made a decision one day. You're my cat. I'm gonna take care of you. So the way the name Mortis came from, because we were calling him Validus.
Right, and you changed it.
So I didn't like that. Well, Validus is a big dick. Like in the D&D story we did, Validus is just a complete and this cat isn't a complete he's just partially So because of that, I was like, well, I can't call you that. That's like an insult. So I changed it to Mortis, which my Minecraft watchers would know. That was the name of my cat in Minecraft. And I just sort of called him that, like, I need a name. And yeah, so that's how I got Mortis. And he is my favorite. He is just so nice.
And you know what? That was probably the nicest, the politest way to kidnap a cat I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, honest to God, I really thought about just not leaving that stuff. Like, I really thought about it, and I was like, well, this has happened like twice now. Like, how do you do that twice? Like, I understand, okay, getting shoved between a screen door and a main door once, but twice?
No, yeah, that's true.
And, like, I decided to keep... Oh, also, I guess I let out the part of the story where I attempted to leave him.
Oh, my God.
So I just opened the door, and Mortis is actually trying to get in here, so I'm going to let him in. I opened the door, and I said, I opened the door, and he got out. I didn't say anything to the cat. I don't know where my mindset was there. He got out, and I was going to leave him, but then he started following me. So because of that, I took him home, and I fed him again. I was going to do the same thing. Obviously, something changed, and then I went back and left my information.
Now, with this cat, and I don't know if I want to ask you this, is the bond you're getting with this cat filling any void for yourself of like, I want to do with you what I feel I wish would have been with me, as in like the care and love and to know that I'm always gonna be there for you, because it sounds like it's connecting to you going with you always want to help people. You always want to do right with people.
I mean, I'm sure that's part of that. But also, it was just a situation of this cat is trapped between a door and another door. And, you know, cats have to use the bathroom. I just thought if I left it, it was going to be miserable. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And the bond I have, like, you know, people who own cats will say this. You don't feel as lonely if you got a good cat, because a good cat will see that you're lonely and be like, hey, give me attention. And, you know, I've always dealt with loneliness. Like, there is no Mrs. Kneale Burris. Yeah. I do have separation anxiety, so when I'm not with my friends, I feel super alone. And just sort of having, like, I have another cat, too, that's an adult. But she stays outside. So just having Mortis, who is constantly, like, there to be like, you okay, Dad? You okay? I'm like, it's definitely a good situation. Also, would you like to hear Mortis's 6 meows?
You go straight with 6?
He has 6. Okay. So, you know how in Pokemon, Ash can talk to Pikachu?
Yes.
That's what I've got with this cat.
No, you don't.
Essentially, I do. He has 6 meows, and I know what they all mean. His one meow, his first meow, is please. That's the first one I ever heard him do. He has please. He has yes. He has no. So, just so you know, I was hanging out outside, like the story goes, and then I just start hearing meow, meow. And that's please. Then I was like, a couple days later, when I could properly understand the cat, like I'm saying, I started holding him. And I was like, do you want food? And he was like, meow. And that's yes.
Aww.
But then, and this is my favorite, I remember I was like, I had my little cousins over. And Mortis does not like my little cousins because they don't know how to take care of cats. So,
where's this going?
So, whenever she shows up, and I look to Mortis, I'll pet him, and I go to hand him to her, he'll just go at the top of his lungs, meow, which means no, dear God, no.
How could something so sweet be so aggressive?
Oh yeah, he does not like her at all. He hides from her now. He understands that this person is the girl who unintentionally freaking throttles him.
Oh my gosh, man.
But then he's got 3 more. And this used to be my favorite one. Because he actually says Kneale. And he only says it when I'm not giving him attention.
Oh my gosh.
He'll just go, Kneale. And I'll just be like in the living room and I'll be like, what? And he'll be like, Kneale.
He's like Stewie talking to Lois, just saying, Lois.
It's what it is. This cat is basically my Stewie Griffin. But
wow. Watch out for that then. You better watch out.
His fifth one is Dad. And he only says Dad when he's scared. Like, I remember I was taking him out for a walk outside. And by the way, yes, I walk my cat. I'm that lonely person. He doesn't even walk. He just makes me drag him until I pick him up and carry him. But
oh, wow, you are Ash.
He's afraid. Yeah, I actually put him on my shoulder and everything. But he's actually deathly afraid of the outside. So because of that, whenever we go outside and we're like walking around buildings and stuff, he'll just go, meow. And that's Dad, what's going on, Dad? And I love it. But my favorite one, and this is his newest one, I just discovered it the other day.
Oh, brand new. Okay. All right.
Is why. And I love it. The cat says, he goes, meow. And that's why. Like, I remember I woke up and I was like covered in a blanket and I was listening to some music and I was sort of jamming out. I had to look like a pink Jedi with this blanket. And I was just jamming out and sort of head bobbing. Mortis walks in the room, looks at me with the strangest glance I have ever seen, not only on a cat, but on another living thing. And just goes, meow. And I knew in my heart of hearts he was saying, why? Why are you like this? Why do you do the things you do?
Aw, look at that. Your cat already knows.
I mean, I love him. Yeah, he already knows I'm a strange weirdo from another planet, but he's into it. He's like, this is the one that pets me, so it's okay.
See, that is wonderful, because, sometimes it's always good to have those special people in our lives, whether it be, like people or pets.
It's always important to have that cat that makes you not feel lonely because you don't have a romantic partner. I know what you mean.
I know there's another thing in your life that does put a smile in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, again, something I brought up earlier is your love and 100% passion for a show that's been going on for 26 seasons.
Yeah, I can't show camera, but I had a feeling this might come up.
Oh,
So
it had to.
So I actually grabbed a Power Ranger statue I own, and it's just sort of here in the room with me. Because I knew this would come up.
Cause look here. Look, we all know that we're talking about is the Power Rangers. And if I've known Kneale, he is the one person that can just destroy you with trivia, facts, and knowledge of Power Rangers. And think about this, guys. I said 26 seasons. It's also a show that has been moved from Fox, ABC, Toon Disney, back to ABC Kids.
It's incredible how long it's been going.
And now currently on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, now Hasbro owns it, and Beast Morphers is so much better than the other crap we were getting. Like, I hate Ninja Steel.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So, just so everybody knows, I absolutely love Power Rangers. Some of it is garbage. Some of it is hot, stinking garbage. But it's sort of that thing of trash digging, you know? If you look through the trash, sometimes you'll find something you want. If you go in Power Rangers, you'll usually get a pretty good story, but sometimes you'll get a subplot where these side characters can their farts and try to use it as monster repellent. And that's real, and it's stupid.
But see, like, with all that, whatever you just explained to me, I gotta know, like, what keeps you staying in the fandom? Like, why do you keep coming back to it?
Power Rangers is like a marriage. Essentially, you know there's going to be a lot of good and you truly care about it. But you got to be ready for that bad. And you got to handle that bad like a responsible adult. Like, for example, things are smooth and easy when you're watching Power Rangers RPM. Everything's good. You're relaxing. You're having a great time. And then Power Ranger Mega Force comes on.
Oh, man.
And you hide behind the couch, but it keeps playing. And it just insults the franchise. But then you still got Power Rangers SPD. you still got Power Rangers Time Force. You're okay. At this point, if I honestly had to answer where someone's like, why do you watch every episode? I guess my reason would be because I've seen all the other ones. So at this point, I'm sort of dedicated to it to a point where I've never watched this much of anything. And, you know, I think Linkara said this because he's also a fan of Power Rangers. People don't really like to see things end. And I sort of agree with that. Like, you just keep going through the story of Power Rangers. It's all canon to itself. I mean, some's in alternate universes now, but it's all still canon. And you just keep learning more and more about this world. And it's so different from normal things. Like, just, it can be kooky, it can be serious, and it's just, it's cool. Like, you see these really cool action scenes that aren't even in Hollywood movies nowadays. You see this really original character design in terms of every bit of the monsters, and you can get really good villains like Mesogog. Mesogog's the big one. Emperor Zed.
Can't forget about him. Can't forget about the big Z.
I mean, Zed gets kind of goofy towards the end of his run, but gosh, that design. That's such a good design. Of course, you got Vengex, the Vengex virus of RPM. RPM's the one I bring up a lot because, in my humblest of opinions, RPM is the most grown-up Power Rangers has ever gotten. Like, they
yet a lot of people I talk with never ever talk about that show.
Yeah, you know what they talk about? They talk about the original because that's the one that nostalgia sort of grabbed onto. Like, I have always said that if you're going to make a Power Rangers movie, yeah, the Mighty Morphin cast is there, but unless you're leading up to In Space, you should do, like, one of the other series. Like, I would love to see a Power Rangers SPD series. For those who don't know, Power Rangers SPD is Space Patrol Delta. It's basically like, what if the Power Rangers were a police force in the future, when aliens and humans live together in harmony? And it's really interesting. It has one of the best scenes I've ever seen in Power Rangers, where so it's an interrogation scene, and it's with this alien who can essentially teleport through any reflective surface. There's a bunch of technobabble on what it actually is, but it's teleportation.
Basic.
So there's this really dope scene where Sky, the Blue Ranger of that series, covers his badge with tape, covers his eyes with sunglasses, and essentially covers all reflective surfaces on his body. He goes in to interview this guy. And Sky doesn't know it at first, but this is the guy who killed his dad. So they're doing the interview. The alien realizes who Sky is, and he says, okay, I'll tell you everything you want to know. But in exchange, you have to give me a memory. Sky's a little confused. A memory of what? And the guy says, you have to give me a memory of your saddest moment. And Sky starts talking about realizing his dad is dead, and that his, saying, the feeling of losing my dad is the worst thing I ever went through. And he just starts talking about it. And then the alien starts to mock him for it. And Sky sheds one tear. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that tear is a reflective surface, and that alien teleports out. And it's such a cool scene. I will never understand how people can go, Power Rangers is for kids, when there are things like Dr. K, this tortured character in RPM, who unintentionally caused the end of the universe and is trying to save it. And Sky, whose father was a Power Ranger, and he just wants to be a Red Ranger. They briefly touch on, Sky is unintentionally a sexist at first in the show. But the Red Ranger in that series is black. And
I remember that. He had dreads.
And there's this line from Jack, that's his name. Jack, where he says to Sky, heroes come in all colors. And I know that was probably about him wanting to be the Red Ranger, but if you dig deep into that, it's about race. And I like to think that it was also about race.
Power Rangers getting deep on us.
Yeah, I hate to say obviously it's for kids. And it should be for kids. But at the same time, look at Steven Universe, look at Adventure Time. These things for kids are good for us too. Avatar: The Last Airbender is technically a kid's show.
Oh yeah.
Can you believe that?
And for all the stuff that it touch upon and how it digs, wow, man.
Yeah, and a lot of people who have stuck with the franchise, I think anybody who has seen all the seasons of Power Rangers can't say Mighty Morphin is their favorite. Because Mighty Morphin was silly and goofy, and it was great for what it is. But Time Force has such a deep story and all this stuff. It's just, I think Power Rangers is extremely underrated, even though it isn't really underrated anymore. I think you like this part. But over here is good too. Just look over here.
Do you think it has just more to do with nostalgia? Like you said, do you think nostalgia just continues to hold through with it, and more too that people just gave up on the whole series altogether? Once they got older, they're you know what, this is just too kiddie for me. I don't need to watch this anymore. I shouldn't watch this stuff anymore.
I mean, normally I would agree to that, but I think what it actually is, I think it has to do with what you said. I even had a situation where I stopped watching Power Rangers as I got older. I came back to it later, but I did stop. And it's just that situation of when this thing is so famous, I think what everybody else in the world thinks is it's the Simpsons effect, where it's been going on for so long, it can't be good. Like, I think that's what people think. Like, by now they've run out of ideas, and they're pulling at the bottom of the barrel. But no, Power Rangers is still going strong. Beast Morphers is really good. It's getting a lot of positives from the fan base. If everyone just went and watched RPM, I feel like that's the one where people could go, oh, okay, this is, wow.
You see
this
why.
is deep. I mean, RPM is basically robots taking over the world, and there's one city left in the entire world.
That sounds like a movie.
Yeah, it does. That's the premise. This robot has taken over every country, every state, and all that's left is one city. And that city is guarded by Dr. K, who is this brilliant inventor, but also the Power Rangers. And it's good. It's so good. I can't recommend it enough if anyone is ever, like, just even vicariously interested in Power Rangers RP. Did you ever do my trick, Ron?
Which one?
So, my trick where if you say a number and a color between the amount of seasons, I don't want to count out all the seasons. I can tell you that Power Rangers right now because I'll do that when you actually say the number.
No,
but
I
just
haven't.
try to keep your number. You want to go for 20.
It? Oh God, below 20.
Okay.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
Well, yeah, because there's less than 20 seasons.
All right, okay. And you want just the color of the costumes or just the color of the show logo?
You just say the color of the costume. Oh, I can tell you the name of the show by nothing but the number you give me for the season. Just tell me the color of the costume, and I will tell you their first name.
All right. Number 10.
Okay. Mighty Morphin Season 2, Mighty Morphin Season 3. Zeo, Turbo, In Space, Lost Galaxy. After Lost Galaxy is... This is where I always muddy it a little. Lightspeed. Time Force. Okay. So, Wild Force. What color?
Wow. Yes. Okay.
What's the color?
Silver. That's Merrick.
I was about to go, there wasn't a Silver Ranger in that one, but there is. He's a wolf guy, and his name is Merrick.
Everyone, that was no joke. He got it on the tee.
We didn't rehearse this.
Wow.
Literally, I was about to go, there is no Silver Ranger that season, but then I was like, no, wait. There's Merrick. Merrick is the 6th Ranger. So that's why I was like, I was trying to think of everybody, like Cole, the Red Ranger, and Zach, who is the Blue Ranger, but I got to Merrick.
I'm super impressed. Now, okay, I got one more. Just one more.
That makes the girls drop their pants, let me tell you. Like, that gets me the ladies.
I always knew you, dog, you. Last one, number 22.
No, I don't think there's 20 seasons. I can try to count. I don't think there's 20 seasons, but we'll see.
It's a trick question. Let's see.
Okay, so Wild Force was 10. So going from that, Ninja Storm is 11. That would make Dino Thunder 12. SPD is 13. Mystic Force is 14. I can do this. I just need a second.
No,
Mystic Force.
I am
Overdrive is 15. Jungle Fury is 16. RPM is... After RPM, they took a big break. And then Power Rangers Samurai. Then after Samurai is Mega Force, which I hate. Oh, we're getting close. So Mega Force is 19. Then is Dino Charged. That's 20. 21 would be Ninja Steel. And if 21 is Ninja Steel. And Ninja Steel was the one that came. Okay, so Beast Morphers. Beast Morphers is number 22. So there are 22.
It's all right. And everyone, he is technically right. You are right. But if we're going to be technical with it, and I see what Nickelodeon did with it, because they're not.
Oh, I know. Are you talking about the Supers? Yeah, yes. I don't count those.
Yeah, I had a feeling you. That's why I wanted to test you.
Yeah, I do not count the Supers.
This is straight just business of them just trying to market and squeeze out as much Power Rangers as they can.
So what is the color you're going with?
Well, sir, I think I want to go with who is the Blue Ranger?
That's Ravi.
Without even hesitation. And gosh, the name.
I think I know his last name too. I think it's Shaw.
Oh yeah, okay, he's real. Okay, yeah, Kneale is real with the Power Ranger lore, no doubt.
Did you know that?
No, I did not. I didn't know that at all.
I could have told you anything.
Wow.
I could have been like, that's Jack Birdman.
I was just looking it up, and I was just like, all right, this is the name right here. Let me see if he knows it. Oh snap.
I mean,
it's gold star.
Yep. I try to do it at parties, but then people get distracted.
Because they ain't ready for that. Not yet.
Well, they don't care.
Kneale,
I didn't dedicate myself to learning this. It's just something I can do.
But see right there, but that's something that you love. You know what I mean? Like that is something that brings you happiness.
Yeah, you always got to be about the things you love.
And everybody has their own thing. Like everyone secretly, when no one really wants to talk about it, everybody has their own special thing that they still hold on to and they love doing or watching.
Mm-hmm.
And who are we to tell someone either they're too old or that you should just stop this completely?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone saw it, but in the last episode of Reactaholics or the one before it, we talked about Hogwarts houses. And essentially, Callum didn't want to argue for anything but Ravenclaw. And I had already picked Ravenclaw. So I switched to Hufflepuff. And in the end, if you view things from a different lens, everything is kind of cool. Because there I was arguing that Hufflepuff was the best Hogwarts house when my favorite is actually Ravenclaw. And you sort of look at it in a new light because now it's this thing that, for the moment, matters. And you have to say everything you like about this thing you usually don't care about. And it was kind of an experience, honestly, because now I have a new respect for Hufflepuffs. And I feel like if you take that attitude with anything that other people like and you don't, you might not like it yourself, but you can at least appreciate it, I guess.
That's true. And now, Kneale, you and I just had a very, very good talk, right? Man, we had a good chat about you, about your plan out to take away that poor defenseless cat and become Captain America, as they say, as a hero.
Yeah, when I stole that freaking cat, and I probably made small children cry because I'm a monster, but actually I saved a cat.
Not everyone wears capes, ladies and gentlemen.
I would. If I had a cape, I'd wear it everywhere. I'd be like Chip from Mystic Force. I'll give you that one for free.
And then we also was able to understand and embrace his full-on passion for Power Rangers.
I mean, I know I've sort of been nicknamed the Power Ranger guy, but something I want to advertise more than anything is I like other things too. Everybody thinks.
Does he now?
I do. Sherlock Holmes is my shit. But yeah, I love Power Rangers, and I'm glad. If this video makes one person go watch some Power Rangers, I'll be happy.
I love that, man. And now, if there is one way I want to put a bow on this, just as a final end, because not only as if you guys are interested, you want to know about this young man, go follow him at Dr. Kneale Puss on Instagram. That's at Dr. Kneale Puss on Instagram. And again, Reactaholics. Find out on the channel, Dr. Kneale Puss. The big thing I want to do, just to put a final bow on this, and as we go back to the beginning, is from what I've gotten from you, Neil. You are a kind-spirited person. You are dealt with some things in your life, some personal things, but that you don't allow that to stop you. And you love what you love. But as a final say, and we are talking right now to that one person, and I'm talking about your father. From what you gave me, and for the people that you love and care for, if you could say to your father one thing, what could you say?
Look, I've talked about this quite a bit. Like, I've always said that I'm decently nervous if I were to ever meet him in real life. And I briefly tried to track him down a few months ago, but I came up kind of false. So if I were to actually meet my dad, I think there would be a little bit of small talk at first, honestly. It would just be like, hey, so what up? And, there'd probably be the question of, well, why did you leave, dude? And stuff like that. But what I really think I would want to ask, and I feel like some people might be able to relate to this, some might not. I think I would just go, hey, who are you? Like, I don't want to be angry at you. I don't want to hate you because I don't know you. So just who are you? I don't have to like you. I don't have to be your son in this situation. I guess we're in a rare situation where I get to choose what you are to me. But I can't make that choice until I know who you are. So I think it would just be to learn about who this person is.
I respect that. And I really appreciate you being so open to me about this, Neil. I really do. But if you ever got my 2 cents from it, just for me,
yeah.
If I was in your shoes,
and
the one thing I feel
for the record, just so everybody knows, Ron is not throwing his opinions on me. This man is so nice. He is giving me his views.
I say, man, you will. The best thing I think coming from all this is that you see him, and it feels like you're just getting off and just saying, "You missed out. I'm fine."
Aw, really? You think he missed? Aw, Ron.
Because, man, your father must be a fool to leave someone like you, because how you've grown and how you become the man you are, and you're going to continue to be. That's on him.
Actually, one more thing, and I think I would bring this up because my mom has told me this. Apparently, my dad liked Power Rangers.
He enjoyed Power Rangers. That makes so much sense. It was in the DNA.
I think I'd be
all along.
I think I'd bring it up. I'd be like, hey, I also like Power Rangers.
A good icebreaker.
I mean, I feel like I like it more. I don't know. Maybe secretly my dad's out there like hosting the Power Ranger conventions.
Would that be a thing?
But yeah, man. Thank you. Like, I like who I am nowadays. Like, I've gone through a lot of but you saying that to me, just like that my dad missed out by leaving, that, dude, that means a lot.
I wouldn't say anything that wouldn't be true, man. I mean that to the bottom.
This was I want to do this again. Like, obviously there's more stuff to talk about. Like, we didn't talk about a lot of my life, and there's obviously more topics, but just doing this with you, man, this was so good. Like, this was nice. I'm glad you're doing this show.
And that is how we put this bow on this first episode of Getting Real with Ron Smith and Dr. Kneale Mr. Kneale Micheal Burris. I thank you, Kneale, for taking your time, for speaking your 2 cents. And just
thank you for having me, and I wasn't kidding. Put me on the show again. I got so many compliments.
He's Kneale Burris. My name is Ronald Smith. And ladies and gentlemen, we just got real.